Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Black Expat Experience, a live show and podcast highlighting the lived experiences of Black expats around the world. I am Kendall Tyson, your host, licensed therapist, and a fellow Black expat. We have another great episode in store for you today, and I would love to welcome our newest guests, Sherri and Josiah, to the show. Hi.
Hi, family.
How are you doing, family?
Doing really well. Thank you both for being here. I love the fact that we have a mother-daughter duo, mother-son, my apologies, mother-son duo. Haven't had a family yet, so this is the start of hopefully other great interviews. So I just want to introduce you all to our newest guests, Sherri and Josiah. Sherri is a mother, entrepreneur, vlogger who left everything behind to live in her purposeful life, despite negative words from many people close to her. I think we all understand that, right? Yes. Sherri repated with her son Josiah. Now he's 19. They are taking actions to manifest positive changes globally. She is not giving lip service, but instead coming up with solutions followed by actions to be the change in the world that she chooses to see. Sherri and Josiah are working on a back to nature sustainable living project that benefits communities, promotes healthy living and eating, youth involvement in positive change, boosting the economy by supporting local businesses and group entrepreneurship. Yes. They are very passionate about supporting others and speaking life and encouragement into people. I mean, those are some values and goals that I can most certainly get behind, for sure. So the question that I always like to begin, I see the pride on y'all's faces, as should be.
Yes.
The question that I always like to start with is, if you were to describe who you were, each of you, how would you describe yourself? Who are you? Who is Sherri? Who is Josiah?
You want me to start first?
Yeah, I got the second question.
Okay. I would say that I am a trailblazer. I'm a generational trailblazer. My mom was like that. I'm a person that's very positive. I believe speaking life into people. I don't deal with drama. You know, I have a small inner circle of people, you know, that I'm around. I'm a person that can vibe off of people's energy. So, you know, sometimes I can walk into a room and I can just, the energy hits me and I'm like, where is it coming from? You know, that's as an empath. I'm a person that is stubborn in a good way. and the reason why I say that is because, you know, with my life experiences and what we're doing, you have to be stubborn and stand on your purpose and be strong, you know, so that's stubborn in a positive way, not, you know, in a negative way. Right. I'm a mother of 5, you know.
Listen, okay. Yes. Multitasker for sure.
Yes. And my mother raised me along with just the person that I am. I'm a person that believes that one person can make a difference. Yes. And it's important, no matter what the consequences are, to do the right thing and to stand on that. So that kind of sums up a little bit about me.
Thank you for sharing that.
Wow.
Right, that's a lot to follow up with, isn't it?
I mean, everything kind of just trickled down. It's like everything she just explained to you. I took that like the embodiment of everything she just said. I was raised on it. Like my actions must align with my words. And if they don't, it will be null and void.
That's what I taught my kids. They memorized that saying.
Most definitely. Yeah. You heard it so many times. It's like now it's instilled into your actions. So if I explain myself, I say I'm a mama's boy. Yeah. But at the same time, I know like my purpose is to manifest positive things on every aspect and every level. That I can just shorten up that much, but everything she just said just covered it down. It trickled down. Like, you know how the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree?
I hear you.
I say that's me.
And everyone has a purpose, and that's something that I taught all my children, that we weren't born here just to be here. All of us have a purpose, And I use the word even when before it was like a trending thing of manifestating. And I always tell them that you are a manifestation of greatness and you have a purpose. You're here not just to do robotic things. You're here to make a difference and to learn and grow and to do great things for humanity and the earth and, you know, just us as a global community. So I still stand by that.
I love it. I thank you so much, both of you, for sharing your truth. And the things that I hear you say, it really does reverberate through a lot of the conversation that I've had with multiple people, even, you know, in the way and the values that my mother and father have chosen to raise myself and my siblings by as well, being a trailblazer, especially, right? Everybody doesn't have that gift, and it can be a heavy burden to bear sometimes.
Yes,
But
it's not for the weary.
It is not. It is not. It is not at all. And then also, I think one of the things that both of you stated was understanding that you're on here not just for your own good, but to serve the benefit of others. And
yeah.
When I hear that, that can go so many ways, right? There's definitely a healthy way to do that and an unhealthy way to do that. And
Yes.
I would definitely say, like, the healthy way is to know that you live your life authentically in the service of other people, knowing that you have your own hopes and dreams and wishes, and you can definitely work toward that. You don't have to give up your innermost desires at the benefit of others. Like, you don't have to dim your light for everyone else to be warm.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
I really appreciate that. So let me ask you, I just listening to the bio that you shared, I kind of want to flip the conversation a little, and I'm really curious about you all's community work. So can you share with us where you are currently and how long you've been there, and like what is the mission of the work that you're doing in your expat country?
Okay, basically we're manifesting a sustainable living project, and it's an umbrella with a lot of legs. And what we're doing is we're working on a sustainable farm. And sometimes from what I've learned talking to like farmers in America, that sustainability has a negative tag to it because of the way that industrial agriculture is joining on the bandwagon. So a lot of times I have to explain more about what it means to us and what we're manifesting. So sustainability, and this is what we're working on, is building communities, supporting local businesses and farmers, also doing things for the environment, whether it's regenerative soil projects, it's planting trees, it's planting flowers, it's educating people as far as what they can do. I mean, we do a whole series of trailblazers on our YouTube, and we're doing it with people that are gardening, people that are taking the initiative. And we want people to know that they can actually start taking control of their narrative, whether it's their food, because we want your food. My mother used to say, you are what you eat, and your health is your wealth. Whether it's mental, physical, or spiritual, all that has to be aligned, and in America, I know that we eat a lot of garbage, and we don't question what's going on with our foods, so this is something that that I want to go viral and infectious in a positive way, where, we support children that have gardens. We've done a little showcase, and there's things that we do behind. We weren't too much into the YouTube thing, broadcasting everything that we were doing. But now people want to see some, so we show, but we don't, we don't overdo it. But we support like smaller gardeners. We have a young man who's going to be working on creating like an incubator. We're supplying the materials and things of that nature. He has a little garden at his house. He grows citron trees, and we support him. We gave him some materials just because he needed it so that he can work on his projects. He's a highly intelligent boy, because we believe that the children, we have to start listening to them because they're not tainted. They have solutions. Like if we listen to them, and you put something in front of them, listen to them. Wisdom doesn't necessarily come with age all the time. there's wisdom that we've learned from children, so this is something that we do, and we want to go even further. We're working with a man that's, we haven't posted the video. This is like a tea dropper, but he does a lot of community things here with the youth, and he's actually building a workshop center where the youth can create their own shoes. Someone imported things from Italy. So they're going to be working on things like that, basically to give the youth more of a positive thing to do, and to let them follow their passion, create an income for them. So that's something that we work on. We're working on, we've planted some trees in different places. We have coconut trees right down, and they're growing very well. But we also are working on a bigger project where we can plant more trees, giving back to the environment. We do cleanup projects. We only posted one, but we do it several times. We do cleanup projects. We pick up the debris, and we have the children incorporated in it as well. What else do we do? We do a lot. We have a poultry farm that's in a temporary space right now. Right now, we're working on the capital for the actual sustainable farm, where we're living there and working on it. But we have that. I've learned a lot about poultry. I'm talking. This is a suburban girl that went to. My mother would have never thought that I would have been dealing with chickens. I've learned so much about farming and agriculture and chickens. It was hard sometimes to let the chickens go, because you watch them from little babies and then they grow up.
Right.
So those are some of the things. And also we love supporting and showcasing local businesses. And that's not just only in Senegal. We talk to people in America. We have people in the works that are in Ghana and different places, because it's about supporting entrepreneurship everywhere, because that's the foundation of a lot. It's the foundation of the economy. It helps with families. It helps with just uplifting the community. And that's,
we're all one family.
Yeah, we're all one family. We're a global family, and that's what we support as well. And that's just a little of the umbrella.
Yeah,
we're collaborating. We're collaborating with others, on their projects, and they're, speaking life into ours. But this is the basic of our foundation for what we're trying.
Okay, so that's a lot, and I am really curious how, in all of that work, how do you all keep things organized?
It's rough. Sometimes we can't be organized in the midst of of what we're doing. It's kind of hard, but what we do, we have we have like a book. Like we have a calendar. Like we work on, we have to have some type of organization. Some things you have no control over. Some things come up. It's like, hey, come in and interview me, or hey, let's do some type of project. Hey, we wake up and we're like, yeah, let's go clean up debris somewhere, or talk to a local business. But basically, what we do is we write what we're planning on doing. We have like a calendar, and we also have a book where we track our progress, what we need to do, what we are doing, what we've actually accomplished, and then we feed off of that, and then we revamp it and go further.
Okay. And how are you noticing that those organizational strategies are allowing you all to continue to move forward, make progress and stay on top of your goals, like as a family?
It helps a lot, because it's a visual aid, to see what we're doing. And we look back at what we wrote down when we first got here, maybe within the first 6 months, and then we look at what we've already done. A lot of progress. Like when you're going through it, yeah, like when you see it on paper and when you go through it, it's like, wow, can we really obtain this? Sometimes you have and there's some shortcomings too, because there's also with the things that we wrote down, there's also learning opportunities. There's things that we had to grow. Like we thought maybe we would be able to do this in a certain amount of time. And then, it wasn't feasible. So then we had to, figure out, how to amend it and go around it or go over that obstacle.
Yeah, I would say definitely write it down. Like goals, everything, write it down and check off what you complete. And if you have a shortcoming, I'm pretty sure you'll learn a lesson through that experience. So next time when you attack that problem, you have more experience with it, so you'll know more and know what to do.
Right. Well, Josiah, let me ask you, as a son, I'm sorry, I have flies. As a son, I would love to know your perspective on what are some skills that you believe that you're learning growing up into, well, you're 19, you're not a child. You probably your mama's child. You're gonna forever be your mama's child. So technically you're an adult, right? But I'm curious about what are some transferable skills that you believe you're learning to kind of help grow you into the man that you are seeking to become.
Oh, I'm glad you asked that specific question. So pretty much what I would say is my creativity. As soon as I came here when I was 17 with my mother.
Okay.
And we were just doing things out of kindness of our hearts. And as I'm working with other people, it's like because a lot of things, some things that they do not have, right? Or you can assess it. So it just opens up your creative process. If you don't have something, you create it. If you don't know how to do something, there's no excuses. You can't just sit there and be like, I don't know how to do it. I'm just going to wait until next year. It's like, if you want to get it done, like I said before, your actions must align with your words. So if you want to learn something, put yourself in that position to learn it. Like, there's no excuses for it. And that goes with anything, anyone, anybody, any project, whoever it goes. But I say for me, what I've learned, the number one thing is my creativity. And I think I'm able to learn, honestly, almost any skill I want. I just put myself in a position of learning it and I can learn it. I can create things like, honestly, I say I'm like a sort of, I say I'm sort of like an apprentice, but I'm coming up. Like things, creating stuff with wood, creating tools, etc. Even video editing, video marketing, social media, etc. I mean, and plus there's YouTube, so you can learn a lot through there. And when you're really hands-on, it's like the learning process is like, they don't try to force it down your neck. If you want to learn, you'll be on their hip like, okay, I understand this process. Even sometimes, because I'm learning the language Wolof. It's like Wolof in French is the main language speak here.
Right.
I mean, spoke. Right. But it's like, as I'm learning like in their language, I'm like, okay, look, do like their actions or what they're doing. They're like, nah, don't do it this way. Do it this way. Because if you don't, there's a possibility you could hurt yourself in the future. You can make a mistake like that. And if you learn it this way, it's going to be extremely bad. So I say my credibility, because like anything I want, I manifest it. Like anything you don't have access to, you get access to it. There's no excuses for it. But I would say the main thing skill-wise is my creativity.
I appreciate
that. That's broad.
Right, it is, right? Which I think that's a major part of being creative is that you're not limited to one specific facet of what creativity is. And there's something, Sherri, that you said earlier, when it comes to being wiser and learning from community. And a statement that you made was, wisdom doesn't come with age. And please share with me how, you shared how you all were helping children, with their, skill acquisition and whatever interest that they had to kind of help that flower for them in their life, and just the knowledge that they're able to impart as kids. And I believe, I agree with you. Like I've worked with, kids for a very long time, and they say the darndest things, but they are wise, less tainted, right? Less fearful of the what ifs to come.
Yes.
How do you all create a space, or the community that you're cultivating? How does it create a space to honor the independent thinking, the skills, the ideas of all ages to kind of help collective, vision that you all are trying to create?
Well, that's actually a great question. And I forgot to mention before about our project. It's about going back to nature and not using so much, like more is not not necessarily more. But with me, let me digress a little bit. And with my background, I've always had children around me. Even when I was babysitting, I've always had a connection with children. And some of my coursework is not only business administration, but psychology and criminal justice.
Okay.
So, but I've always been a person that people, even without having any coursework, people would come to me and they felt free. So I've always been, even with his friends, my children's friends, they've always felt comfortable just being free. And you have to allow them to just speak their truths, speak their truths. Ask if, like some of our projects, just ask a question, like with the like a solar panel project that we're working on. We went to the young boy and we're like, we know, well, we've dealt with him a lot, but we're like, hey, this would be awesome. Let's get together and I know you like making things. Let's try making something solar for something. And he's like, oh, of course. And then he's already researching. It's like giving them the space to be free and express who they are, not with judgment, not saying, oh, that's not possible, and even if something doesn't work in the process of creating something, you come together and you come up with solutions. And that's going to take him, and the other children even farther as they become more adults, in life and doing what they want to do in their career or following their passion. It'll make them stronger. So you have to, with the children, you have to create a space where they feel free, they feel welcoming. You don't, right. There's no judgment. If something is possibly done wrong, you don't chastise them and, you just, it's like in a loving, I'm a maternal person. So I'm a nurturing person. So I'm a loving person. So you just love on them. And if you give them that space and you show them and speak life into them, that you believe in what they can do, then it encourages it. I guess it would, the word I'm looking for, it ignites their spirit and they go farther. And that's what we've been doing. And with the community, we just started doing and people started joining.
Okay.
We're actionary. I'm long-winded. Sometimes when I'm passionate about things, I tell people in my videos, but when I'm passionate about something, I can go on and on. But with the community, we just started doing and people started joining. My mother taught us that we have to be actionary. She was a Pan-Africanist. And even the things that she did, she just did, within the civil rights era. And it's like, stop talking about it. Like you see the debris on the ground, clean it up. Okay, you're not going to clean it up, but I'm going to start. You know what I'm saying? And now you see, oh, she's more invested, in the community. Then they're like, oh, she's not just like this foreign person she is a part of the community and she wants, the best for the community. And people will follow.
That was a follow-up that I actually had that I wanted to ask was, I know a lot of times we as outsiders, we come into communities and it's very, I would imagine, easy for us to spot things that could be improved because we aren't living within that ecosystem.
Right.
I would love to know how receptive the community was when you and your family came and you all began to, do the work that you're doing, instituting ideas, projects, and things of that nature. Was there any type of adjustment that you all had to undergo when it came to collaborating with community? Like, what type of role does the community play in the work that you're doing?
It's all about, we do collaborations. I mean, it's not just about us as repads. It's not, okay, let me digress for a minute. Even when I visited Ghana, when I went there, I said, I don't want to stay at a hotel. I want to be with the people. That's my mindset. I'm not I never had the intention of coming to another country. I'm not going to say a foreign country. I'm saying I'm coming home, and I didn't want to be, and I'm not going to be, and I'm not a foreigner coming in saying with the savior thing. No, that's not my mentality. It's all about a community. And that's what I always say. It's, you don't come in and you're like, oh, look at things wrong. Well, guess what? There's things wrong in America too. So you have to check that Western mentality. You say that things are going on, oh, this, that, and the other. Well, yeah, we have homeless people and things, like we have all these things too, but it's about our people unifying and doing things as a collective globally. And that's my mindset. And so when I come anywhere that I go, anyone that meets me, they can feel my energy. It's not like I'm coming in like, oh, I'm this American. No, I'm coming home. I'm coming home to my community. Let's do this. We all know, we talk about things. You don't come in and say, hey, all this debris, I'm just gonna, just come in. No, like you have to get acclimated with the community. You have to talk and build relationships, and then once they see that you don't have that westernized mindset and you actually are loving on the people, they will come and they will open up and they will, with hands up, will just jump in. There was times that we did the cleanup, people would just walk by and just help us. It wasn't just like a certain amount of people that came. They just came, or even, and it also went viral, where they just automatically do it more and more and more. So yeah, it wasn't a problem for us. And when we landed, they received us, even though there's a language barrier. He can speak Olaf a lot better. I call myself, but I have like an older person's mind. Like it's a little bit challenging with the Olaf, but I know tootie a little bit, but him, I mean, he knows a lot more between French, and he learned it here. I mean, from day one, he was able to do it. And even with the language barrier, I'm able to communicate because body language, different things, you can communicate with people without actually knowing how to speak, the actual language.
True. Communication is definitely 70% nonverbal.
Right.
And I would imagine that individuals really learn who you are as a person through your actions, right?
Yeah.
When they see your consistent, persistent actions and showing up and respect for their community that you're wanting.
Their culture and their culture.
Respect for the culture.
Yeah, that's important.
I was getting there. If not the most important thing, right? If not the most important thing, it's, having more of an appreciative attitude about the culture that is adopting you into their own. And I would like to shift the conversation a little bit to kind of glean from you all what was the process, or before even that, what were some of the determining factors for you to choose Senegal as your repat country? I heard you say repat multiple times.
Oh man.
Yeah. Okay. So
this is gonna be interesting. I see y'all's faces.
Yeah, I'm just like, so basically, let me digress a little bit, just a little bit for a second. When I was 17, I had a dream that I was coming to Africa, but I was too young and never told my mother. In 2015, I had, through my meditation and prayer time, I saw, I don't want to say visions, but I saw pictures, in my head, and I'm like, I'm really going to do this. So I saw things, and I'm like, I told my family that we were going to go, and I said I was going to go with or without them. All my family, they're like, you're going to Africa? I'm like, yeah, I felt like a drawing in my heart, like a pull that I wasn't home in America. That's the only way that I can say. And this is before, all that other stuff was going on. And then in 2020, actually in 2019, I had another one. And then I started, at first I was going to Ghana in 2015, but then it shifted to Gambia. We were thinking about Gambia. And then that's where we were actually, we flew into Senegal, but we were actually going to go to Gambia. And my instinct was that I needed to leave before the end of 2020. And a lot of people, I've talked to people, and they had that same, I guess you would say, calling, like feeling. So we fell in love with Senegal, and the way that the people were loving on us and so helpful. They helped us get our luggage. People in the air, it wasn't the Senegal airport, it was the actual airline, that destroyed and lost, our luggage. But we fell in love and started to appreciate Senegal. And then there was issues trying to get to Gambia even after we got our luggage, with transportation, like trying to, there was a lot of divine purposeful obstacles that shifted us. And then when we realized that we needed to be here, that's when we started shifting and doing, what we wanted to do here. So that's a short version of what happened and that and how we got to Senegal to stay.
Okay, Josiah, I'm curious. What are some things that you've come to love about being in Senegal, being a young man in Senegal?
Well, first, I'm gonna start off with, I mean, I know I'm a young man, but I have an old soul, so I'm kind of like that exception. But I say, well, first off, the language, because when we first got here, because I didn't know nothing about French roll-up, I didn't know Senegal was even a place. Like, this is my first time my first flight ever was to Africa.
Yes.
Like,
Wow,
ever.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I
this
mean,
was an
go big or
experience.
go home, right?
So pretty much, I mean, as soon as I got here, I just felt, I know in the States, it was different. It's like, you know how you always gotta look somewhere, you feel uneasy, you feel stressed, like stress you don't even know that come out like it's out of anywhere. Like say you could be doing homework, just boom. Yo, why my head hurt? I did nothing. I'm doing homework. But as soon as I got here, it was like all that just evaporated out of my mind. It was like, no, it's extremely, like everything that was in my head just disappeared, and it was like, you're more free here. Like you can legit do whatever you want, anything you want to create. Even there's avenues that is not here yet, you create it. Like my creativity is like, man, if you don't have something, there's no excuse for reasons that you do not have it. You can sit here, try it down all you want, and sometimes the plan doesn't go exactly the way you want, but you can still maneuver to reach that goal through the failures. It's like failures lead to success. So honestly, as a young man coming to Africa and Senegal, most particularly, is, to be honest, I love it. Like I really do not want to go back at all. As soon as I got here, it was just like they was teaching me the language. Even though I was trying some of the food, I was like, wait a minute, what is this? It was amazing.
Yeah, I have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Finish your statement.
So as I'm trying the food, I'm like, I ain't gonna lie, Senegal, even though I tried the coffee, I'm not even a big coffee person. Like I used to never drink coffee. I used to be an athlete. And as I drink the coffee, I'm like, wait a minute, yo, how did they make this? It was the best coffee I ever had in my life. So ever since then, every time I see it, it's like, I ain't gonna lie, I drink it. Yeah, I drink it a lot now.
I'm a coffee drinker.
I hear you.
Coffee too,
I have to say, like Josiah, listening to you, the joy that I sense you feel is palpable, like it's bursting through the screen. And so the work that I used to do, as working in schools back in the United States, I worked with a lot of Black and brown boys, and, just listening to you describe some of the stress and, the uneasiness and the uncertainty that you feel as a young Black man in America, and then coming to Senegal and feeling free. I'm very happy that you all made the decision to repack to Senegal, because I hear it in your voice. I hear the happiness, I hear the joy, I hear the freedom, I hear the curiosity, a lot of things that you don't have from my experience working with young men. Some men lack the ability and the opportunity to be free, right?
Exactly.
And explore without having to wonder, what is that going to cost me? So I'm want to ask you, if you were to talk to, have a message for your friends back in the United States, I wonder, what is something that you would share with them that you've learned in comparison to how you're able to live then to now?
I would say I'm extremely excited you asked that question. Honestly, that just lit a fire I didn't have before. But honestly, what I would say to them is no time is perfect. So while you're stressing, trying to say, okay, I like say it could be like a minor reason for them, right? They said, oh, I don't know, and excuses just continuously build up and up and up. It's like no time is gonna be perfect. Just go. Stop. No excuses. It's like if you want to be happy, there's no excuses why you can't put yourself in a position to be happy and manifest everything that you want to. It's like I could tell them like, hey, like you're not doing like if you want to be free, man, I would honestly tell them, I would say repat as well, but a lot of people is sometimes it's part of the purpose and sometimes it's not because everybody goes to different areas. But I'll just say just go visit. It can even be an African country, it could be Europe. I mostly recommend Africa first, but but pretty much it's like just go. Stop questioning, just do because no time will be perfect for you. You can sit there and complain all this stress I got going on. When you gonna release that stress off of your body? Cause I know somebody can be, I know a person that's 20 years old. I know him since since middle school. I ain't never seen a 20-year-old young man with gray hairs thinking he was like 60 or 65. This man is 20. Like, I keep telling him, like, man, you need to just be free. And whatever you feel that you need to go and need to do and what actions you feel like you need to take, just do it. So I'm a long-winded when I'm passionate too. I think the apple, yeah. But let me get to my message though. I didn't mean to be too long-winded. Okay. But my message would be no excuses. Anything you want to do, and if it's not even available to you, you have no excuses. Just do it. Your actions, like I say again, must align with your words. I'm really big on that because I was raised on it as well, and I expect other people to do the same thing. So the message would be, should I use this one? No. I'm gonna say one action leads to a different future and result. Boom.
Okay. You know what? I hear that, and I think about, limitations, right? Limitations that are present with Black people back in the United States. And exactly. Sometimes when we've made decisions for ourselves that take us to other places in the world, it can be really easy sometimes, I think, to be like, just do this, just do that, just do this. Everyone may not have a supportive mom like you, right? And sometimes I even struggle myself with, is the advice that I'm giving feasible for people surviving, honestly, back in the US? And what type of additional encouragement can be offered or provided or resources shared in the event they want to embark upon I call myself an expat, being an expat or a repat, what could connecting them to those particular resources look like in the event that they choose to venture out into the world like you all have? I wonder, do those things ever cross your mind, while you're living your lives and building community in Senegal?
That's an excellent question. And you're right. Even when we left, it wasn't like there was obstacles that came up. Like he said, no time is the right time. But I also feel that that you have to learn how to control your narrative. Like there has to be something within you that wants something different, and then you start taking actions. Like I say to people that every day do something, even if they consider it small, to fulfill your purpose or to manifest whatever passion you want to go through. For us, I can say, well, mostly for me, because this was a longer process, of me, deliberating on where I was going to go, or actually even going. There's different groups. There's different groups where you can talk to people. There's several people that we've met that are that left at around 19 on their own, without even having without even having a supportive parent. But the thing is that it's like when you're in a toxic environment, it always seems like nothing is feasible. But in my perspective, in my truth, in my knowing, is that all is purposeful. It's not easy. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy, but you have to try to get into a place where it may not be easy. You may not have everything, because it wasn't easy for us here. I mean, everything totally shifted. We're in a French country. You know what I'm saying?
I speak French.
No,
language.
yeah, everything shifted. The money is different. Everything, we weren't millionaires when we came here, but I knew that, I had to stop coming up with excuses and I had to manifest change. But if I had to say anything for the youth or any adult, is whether you're any type of like a toxic environment, if you keep living in it, it's like a vacuum trap, and it feels like that you can't get out. But sometimes you have to push and you have to manifestate it. You have to work. It's not going to be easy because you're going against the grain. Everybody wants you to stay. It's comfortable, even if it's toxic, it's comfortable. It's what we know. You know what I'm saying? We know racism. We know we know all of this because we've been living it, But even if someone says, hey, there's a better life, it may be a little bit easy because you're working from the ground up, doing what you want to do. But it's, people are like, I'm still comfortable in this toxicity. I don't want to move. But you have to, get into a place, talk to people. Whether adults, find groups, Facebook groups, just find anyone, YouTube. There's a lot of us, positive expat repats that are out there that are doing things that are not like sugarcoating it. It's not easy.
Right.
It's not easy. And even with him,
honest narrative.
Yes, it has to be an honest narrative. And just always in the back of your mind, it's like, this is a blank canvas. You know what I'm saying? And you're writing your own narrative for the first time, and I know in my family's history, you know what I'm saying? You are actually creating your own narrative, and it's not easy it's from the ground on up, and you have to, when you get weary, find people that speak life into you, that encourage you, that maybe have gone through the process. Talk to people, and that's one of the big things. If you feel like the person that you're talking to they're not giving you solid advice, and it's like, like the Cinderella type thing, or the fairy tale thing, then look for someone else, but it can happen.
I'm curious. I'm curious about lots of things. I will say that a few more times. Can you share with me, either of you, both of you, what has been a defining moment of your time abroad in Senegal, or even just your time abroad? It doesn't, whether it's in Senegal or not. And how has your perspective shifted since making this particular move?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go first.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I could say because I'm a little different. Yeah, because it's like, as soon as I came here, it was, how you like in educational systems, it's like they teach you certain things. You thinking, oh, I'm gonna say for Africa, for example, all they teach you is like the bad places and the bad things. And like, it's like the same thing, say for like, in Washington, D.C., a lot of people don't even know that there's homeless people in Washington, D.C. All they see is the White House, everybody's living happy. It's like a golden picture, and everything that may seem as gold is really glittered. So it was like the same thing. I guess me personally I'm different though for my age. Like, as I said again, I'm an old soul, so I wasn't, and I was raised on like, Pan-Africanism is most important. So when I was coming here, I didn't know what I was hoping for. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I'm just like, I want to have a new experience. I want to learn. I want to create. I want to rekindle that. I would say 400 years, but I wasn't alive that long. But but I just wanted to see what my inheritance was. Like, I want to know more things that I never knew before. I want to learn. I just want to be a part of that. even I meet people my age, and there's people who are raised here and they travel to where I have traveled to as well, and we're all the same. That's like it's the same thing. The only difference is you're able to create more opportunities, you're able to do more things, and you have more kind and caring people all around you and positive. So over there, I also had a small circle. I say I'm an introvert at heart. So like parties and etc. That's I can't do that. That's just not my, no, I'm not that person. I'm the person that wants to chill, do what I got to do, and then make sure everything I got going on is good, help anybody I need to help, and I'm back. So honestly, the transition was easy for me because this is what I was raised on. So even agriculture, etc. I mean, I was raised on it. So hey, it was easy for me for the transition.
Thank you.
For me, because I went to Ghana twice. So for me, I'm a researcher. So I do a lot of research. I talk to people. That's just what I've always done. But it was different because I was studying Gambia at the time. So it was like it's Senegal. They have a different like warrior, beautiful spirit about the people like that I love. Um, so there's a difference between the two countries, and even though they're both they have the same religious beliefs, their cultures are similar but different. I guess because of the colonization, one was French, one was
Right.
the British. But I didn't have like the culture shock like okay, let me take that back. I did have the culture shock on how most of the people were gonna receive me. Um, I felt like they were going to look at me, most of them, like I was this foreigner, I'm not going to be included. I'm going to be just, isolated. And that wasn't the case. Now, you know, I don't believe in sugarcoating anything. We have had bad experiences here, but we had it in America too. You know what I'm saying? It's like people always say, oh, you're going to have these bad experiences. It's the same type of stuff all over the world. You have to be mindful. Some people, will scam you. Somebody can do this. Some people will not be honest. And that's everywhere. You can't just put a whole continent and say, oh, don't go there because it's just bad. But the beauty, even though, there's things all over the world that needs changing because we've really damaged, the earth. I can say that I have felt a level of peace. Even when I went to Ghana, when I had to get on that plane, I had to reprogram my mind to leave my peace in order to to shift, to deal with the things that are in America. And then that's when I knew that first time that I went, I'm like, yeah, I don't know what country I'm going to, but I'm leaving because even though things may be a little bit challenging, even here, there's a level of peace.
I appreciate that. And so that kind of has me to shift into this other element. One of the most important elements of the show that I offer, it deals with mental health. And
Yes.
I know moving to China, it was a huge culture shock. And sometimes I have those, even though I've been here 4 years. I wish I knew what it felt like to feel more at home, more at peace, more comforted in the environment that you're in, notwithstanding the fact that it's another country.
Right.
I would like you to share though, when we talk about all the transition and adjustment, and just really having to attain a different understanding of who you are in a new environment, how has that impacted like your mental well-being? And before you answer that question, what would you say your definition of mental health would be?
Great question. Mental health would be.
There's no right or wrong answer, obviously.
Yeah, it's like my mind is. I'm trying to center. Mental health would be a level of peace, being able to express yourself a level of freedom, allowing yourself to learn, and allowing yourself not to beat yourself up. You know, when you do things wrong, you know, I don't like to use the word wrong, but just taking everything as a learning opportunity, allowing yourself to grow. That I think that's one of the biggest things. Dealing with traumas is something so that you can allow yourself to grow, and being open to experience new things, learn new things, just be open-minded. If a person has that, I believe that their mental wellness would be a lot better. And also to be able to talk, to be open enough to talk to people. You know, that's something that our people are still working on. You know, we're so tight and we keep everything inside. Well, anything that you keep tight in there, it can fester and it can become volcanic. So you have to have some type of an outlet.
What about you, Josiah? What would your personal definition be?
You caught me. I was still thinking about my answer. I'm playing, but I would say mental health for me, I would consider it like, how would I exactly explain it? I would say like a limiter. So I say, for example, if something's limiting, it could be your mentality. So if it's that is holding you back in any type of shape, way, form, it doesn't matter. So if you're able to change the way you think and have full control over your mind and open up more in a positive aspect and outlook on everything, it's like the positive outlook would be anything that you see as negative, you change that into, okay, now you see the good within anything and everything. So I think that's how I would say a limiter. So if it's healthier, you're more freer, you're open, and you're boundless. Anything you want to, all you do is that switch on, let's go do it. But I say if somebody has like, if it's the opposite, my advice with them would be, I mean, of course, eat healthier, put yourself in a more peaceful environment, and don't be afraid to fail in any aspect, because all failure would do is lead to success. So that's a lot to talk about. So I'm trying to sum it up as much as I can,
Listen,
but
you
that's
have
my
no
answer.
idea. Like you should, I hope that you have an opportunity to talk to whatever, children are if you're, going to school there, whatever education looks like there, if you're working with kids, because it's literally, it parents, part of the message that I share with children here, it's a lot of your mindset. I liken it a lot to concrete and trees. Are you having a stuck mindset right now, or are you having one that's able to flourish through whatever environment that you find yourself in? How you respond to things is what matters,
Exactly.
right? And but that doesn't mean that you won't be in a difficult ecological system, right? Like, let's just say in the US, I tell people I can't self-care my way out of dysfunction. How do we change systems so that they aren't so dysfunctional and we can continue to grow out of that? But where you all are now, I'm curious, how do you notice that your mental health has been affected? Ooh, I got these flies. Have plants everywhere. I have plants everywhere, so I got flies. How do you notice that your mental health has shifted, however it's shifted, since you've become a repat?
You'll start her.
Yeah, I want to start first on this question. I'm not exactly sure yet. Wait, I need to think about this question.
I can say that people see me now, and they tell me that I have this glow. Like I'm so like calm. I've been able like to meditate more. We live right next to, I don't know if you hear the water crashing, but we're like literally a few feet from probably 5 feet away from the sea. So I go out there and I have like literally. And so I go out there, I have a level of peace. There's things that have been opening up. I'm a lot freer. My perspective, excuse me, it has evolved a lot, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I've grown a lot. When you don't have, excuse me, when you don't have a lot, when you're not in a toxic environment, it's like you feel you blossom like a lotus. It's like you're in this area, but you blossom as this beautiful flower.
Oh, honestly, I was thinking that whole time. I did not get nothing, but we just gonna flow freestyle with it. So, I would say for me would be, I mean, it's like the only thing I can really say is I'm different. So, like even since a baby, it was like I was like I'm that golden child. I don't know. It's just I was that baby. I'm the favorite. If you don't know already, Big Mama's boy, etc. I would say I know happiness is most important, yes, but also I say comfortability. Because if you're too comfortable in any type of situation, you're limited. It ties back to like your mental capacity. If you limit yourself in any aspect, that'll stop that one thought or second guess on something will stop you from stop you from your potential and everything you can be and everything you will be. So if you remove that comfortability, I know sometimes, well, me personally, it's never okay to be comfortable. But some people are too comfortable in certain environments that they know is not healthy for them. I would say they need to, man, change that mentality, reprogram, as you said, reprogram that so that you can unlimit yourself and go farther for your potential and really live for what you're here to do.
I hear that. What does that look like in the sense of community? Because I will say, as a mental health clinician, I understand you all's perspectives, but I also do know that there are lots of people with, I would say maybe not self-imposed limitations, but environmental limitations that make it really difficult to aspire to and keep pushing, especially if they don't necessarily have that foundation of resilience and external support. So I hear what you all are offering, and I definitely, agree with you to a degree. I really want people to also understand that sometimes we can't choose our situation, but we can always choose like how we are responsive to that situation. I kind of get that's what you're trying to say, right?
Your actions, and we are accountable for our actions and reactions. True. Yeah.
True. I just created, I think this, that I do affirmations every week. And so there was this one where it stated how I'm responsible for, creating moments in my life that help me to remember how strong I am, how much agency I have. And that's within whatever system we find ourselves in. But it's really important for people to understand that it's difficult, not impossible, difficult to do that in silos and without support. And so when I hear you all speak about how you are connecting with community and building community through the work that you're doing, I can only imagine like the fruit that's going to come out of the work, the toiling, honestly, that you're doing. But I do want to ask you, I still want to stay on this mental health conversation because that's my wheelhouse, right?
Yes.
When you think about messages and attitudes about mental health, and this is one for both of you, what were some of the messages? And it's definitely a generational divide, so I can only imagine the different perspective that I'm going to hear. What are some of the messages that you remember when it comes to people speaking about mental health, for it, against it? What can you recall?
I'll start this one. I can say I was born in the 70s. So, mental health wasn't a thing. It's like you keep everything, within the family, within the community. You don't, you just deal with it. You keep that stuff. You just, brush it off. I remember some of like my male friends, their family members would say, just wipe your tears, like brush it off. People were not more open for dealing with mental wellness, talking to therapists and things of that nature. My mother was a little bit different. She was a lot different than most. So we talked to therapists at times. I can say that openly. She had an open door policy, and it just allowed us to be freer. But a lot of my friends They didn't have that. They had to internalize all of this stuff, and it became infectious, and it came out in their actions. It was just very toxic. But in my era, it wasn't a popular thing. Like, even if you did go see a therapist, it was just, don't tell anybody,
Yeah.
type of thing, But yeah, that's my truth on that.
Thank you.
Say my perspective would be like, I know, say for my generation, we're just gonna say my generation is completely different from the past generations because we got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things, etc. I would say mental health. I mean, they improved on allowing children to speak on their mental health and etc. because they can explain in like their emotions. So if they're able to express their emotions even more, then that could take a weight off of their shoulders as well. And honestly, honestly on mental health, they improved a lot, like a lot, since like I'm not gonna say the 70s, but since like I was like
you don't know anything about the 70s, so you can't speak on the 70s. You can speak on the 2020 something, 19.
I'm an 03 baby, so yeah, I'm talking about that time frame. But I'd say it definitely has improved a lot. It's getting better, but it's still a situation that some men can, especially, no, all men in general, because this is the facts. All men in general, they feel they want to bottle up this. It's like the same thing, but now this issue is getting more dire and then you attack the problem. A lot of men do not cry. Honestly, real men cry because once you get that emotions out, then now you're back to your original self. So once you release all of that thing that you built up and you hold so tightly, that now you're able to express how you really feel. It's not going like some might think like if you express your emotions, you may seem like in a feminine way, but that's not the case. Once you express yourself, then a lot of stress, things along, everything that comes along with it is gone, and now you're able to function the way you want to function, like in a positive manner. Because once all the emotions, because a lot of them is built up environment, a lot of negativity surrounding them, a lot of stress built up, and etc. So once they release that, and know it's like once you hold that in your heart, it's gonna cultivate into something that you don't know where it can go or lead. It could be in any way. It's broad, but once they're able to learn, like, okay, mental health is a problem that they must attack as men in general, will solve so many problems because it's like it won't make you softer. Once you express yourself, it will make you a better man because real men cry. And that's a fact that every man should know, even young men is growing up. It's okay. Let that tear out just a couple of times. Just express yourself. And that would be my answer on that.
I'm glad that you said that because we've gotten your son's perspective, right, which I think is extremely valid. And I'm hearing you, Sherri, as a mom, and you just said something extremely important that we have to teach them on the way. So when it comes to parents, and I know you mentioned like generational trauma. A lot of the things that kids are experiencing might be, untreated traumatic, responses that parents have. So I want to ask you, as a mother of 5 children, a repat, doing all the things that you're doing, how do you make time for your mental health so that you're really in the best space possible to continue to do the work that you're doing for your family?
Sis, yeah, he's like, oh, yeah, that's like, it took me a long time to actually focus on my mental wellness. Being, a single parent, working, going to school, doing all these things. But it took me a long time to get to that point to say, hey, I have to focus on myself. And I actually had to legit take a stand and do it, because it's like when you're a single parent and you have 5 kids and you're working, you have to deal with the toxicity from the world, your job, you have to deal with schools, you have to deal with putting food on the table, all this stuff, and you're everything for everyone. Really, and I used to always say that it's like mothers or parents, we sacrifice so much, we lose ourselves. And I saw it one day, I had like an epiphany, and this is no lie, where I just sat back and I'm like, I don't even know who I am anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like I am for everyone, my family, my siblings, but you know, if I'm in for everyone, and I was losing myself. So one day I just sat back and it was just like, you know, I sat back and I'm like, I have to start focusing on me. I'm like, and it was hard, you know, it was painful because people are, you know, I hate to say this, use this term, but like the superwoman thing, you know, it's a burden to be strong all the time.
That's
You know, it's a
disastrous.
burden, girl. It's so hard to take on the world. You're taking everybody's everything, you know, on your shoulder, your family, society, your work, all this stuff, and you still have to do it with a smile and keep strong and keep going. And it can be being strong all the time and not having people strong for you, or not even say, or somebody even not knowing that you're feeling a little weak, say, hey, can I carry this burden for you? It can wear and tear on you to the point where it'll break you. But at the same time, when I was broken, it what's the word? It awoke something else in me. And that's when I started focusing more on myself. That's why I took like coursework in psychology, you know, these things, like dealing with certain things. And I had to stop taking on other people's problems too. You know, it's like everyone, you're that nurturing person. It's like you don't have time to focus on you. But it took a long time, you know, and that's no lie for me to get to that point. And when I had to stand on it, but it hurt. You know, it hurt. Some of the words, you know, that I heard, it's like, you know, you're being selfish. And it's like, I had to choose self-love and being selfish for not only my mental health, my everything, my well-being, and the things that I need to do in life. So I have to, you know, take care of me, because I can't no longer take care of the world, you know, without fixing some things, you know. So yeah.
Thank you so much for, you know, sharing that very intimate perspective that I definitely believe every mother, whether she's Black or not, right, at some point in her, or a woman, mother specifically, right, because you're coming from a mother perspective, has felt. I get the sense that it's a bit difficult for us as enterprising women, moms, ambitious women, to set some of those boundaries, because there can be the instance of having such negative messaging from the world that expects us to be nurturers to everyone but ourselves. But it's really taking the opportunity to shift that narrative on its head. And like you said, if I don't look at it as selfish, right? I look at it as, in order for me to be able to show up for those that actually matter, right? And learn to set boundaries when I need them, but to show up for those that are the most immediate importance in my life, I have to prioritize my own needs. I have to prioritize my own wellness so that I can show up for my children, for my community, for all these people that are depending on me to continue to be my best. And I commend you for that, because I know that it can't be easy, but then it's also like, it's such an important example that we set for kids, right? And it can go both ways, right? Am I barreling through even though I'm hurting and in pain and that, or am I really paying attention to how I'm feeling and taking the time that I need, with hopefully some support, to manage how I'm feeling, manage my mental health, you know, set some boundaries, you know, do the things that I need to do so that I can be the best version of myself for the immediately important individuals in my life. So I thank you, because I know that it can't be easy. I want to ask a question. Josiah, I want you to answer this first. What do you need for healing?
Oh, okay.
I love y'all's responses.
With the curve, I was not expecting that question. I would say, me for healing is, I keep saying I'm different, but at the same time, the way I heal is, I isolate myself to a certain extent, because when I have like conversations with myself through meditation, or say I sit in like in a dark room and say, okay, I need to make a reflection on every action I ever took. that comes with bad as long as good. But I try to refocus that mentality and focus on good, and everything that I need to fix is like I legit changed my thinking into problems that I need to fix and how things I need to improve in. So I don't focus on the negativity. I think I say again, it's like a mentality. If your mentality, even if you're surrounded by negativity, you gotta stand and be like, you have to breathe even more positivity than there is negative. It's like yin and yang, but at the same time, you have to balance it out. That's why I say for mental health for men, it's like sometimes you gotta let them tears out ordinary to be the man that you're supposed to be. So, wow, I ain't gonna, but me healing? Wow. Dang, that was an amazing question. I really did not expect that.
Well, I
But I
hear that
say
you're
me,
saying that you need time to yourself, like you engage in solitude and meditation,
that's me.
maybe some cathartic crying. I hear you said it multiple times, your creativity. There's so many ways to heal. And oftentimes we don't see the things that bring us peace as healing strategies.
Yeah, it's like it's normal for me. So it's like
You're right.
it's broad. It's like I can't really explain just one. It's like some things I might do subconsciously.
Well, this is
Like
something I challenge you to do. I can see that it was a bit of a stumping question, which that's fine, right? There's no right or wrong answer. I want you to kind of like, I want you to journal about that if you're into writing. I want you to think about what does healing look like for me and how can I gift the understanding of somebody's own individual healing, not necessarily telling them what they need to do, but through demonstration, through answering or asking questions, having other people to kind of facilitate or facilitating the process for other folks to figure out, what do I need to do to heal? Because the work, just to hear you speak about, being a young Black man, I'm sure that there are lots of young Black men in y'all's community, giving them an opportunity to talk, something we call like small support groups, trusting circles, healing circles with music. I see so much that can come out of that in a community aspect that I think you would be phenomenal at leading with collaboration with other, young men in your community. That's something that I definitely see that you could potentially facilitate. So I'm gifting you that thing to work on if you want.
I tell you.
I see that. I see that. What about you, Sherri? What do you need for healing?
For healing, what I do is I do some of the same things that he does. I go to the sea a lot. The sea, nature and sea is my safe haven. I self-reflect, and I try my hardest, my best to be objective. It's like almost looking outside of myself and looking at it to getting a different perspective or someone else's perspective. Or I always try to find like the positivity in things, even when it's hard. In accountability is important for healing. You have to be accountable for your actions and reactions. And that's what I teach my kids too. It's important for healing also is to speak to people. And I can't express enough as a mother that speaking with your children and letting them know things, it's not about, I came from the era, sometimes it's like, what does it say is, do as I say, not as I do, or something like that. Something
and that's what it is.
But I'm not like that. Like, I will talk to my kids, raw. And like, this is what it is. Like, this is it. You know what I'm saying? And I want you to learn from it, and I want you to do better. I want you to do greater. I want you to, learn from my experiences. And even if you don't, it's not the end of the world. So communication is, for me, is a healing. I tell everybody that I talk to that communication to me is everything, so it's important for people to communicate, and you let, what's bottled up inside of you out.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Some very poignant points made when it comes to really being able to pay attention to yourself, to reflect on who you are, the life that you're living, what you really need in that moment to be your best self. So I just have, one or two more questions, and one that I definitely would like to know is if you could think of one thing when it comes to the promotion and advancement of mental health in Black communities abroad, in America, what would that one thing be?
That's a great question. What I would say is that there's still a stigma on it. You know, even though mental wellness has come far, it still has to go a lot more. And we're so afraid, you know what I'm saying? And that has to do, it's generational through, you know, what we've been through as a people to hold everything in. It's like, you know, even when our ancestors were beat, it's like to hold that emotion and just shut up and just take it, or just, you know, just keep working, you know, doing these things. And I know it's not, I think, I know that we have that still. We have to communicate more. We have to open up more, and we have to create an environment where we can trust. You know, that's key, because we are a non-trusting, even me to this day, certain things I don't trust. And that's like a generational thing. We don't trust these systems, but we do have people like you and other people that are open and willing to receive and understand, or I'll say enter and understand our experience, and we can share. We have to open up more. That's one of the biggest things. Communication is definitely key.
Thank
as
you.
well.
What do you think, Josiah?
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm not getting, you don't have to think of too many. Just give me one.
Okay. Where to start though is the question. I'm not exactly sure though.
Well, here, let me whittle it down for you. If you're thinking from the teenage Black male perspective, what would be one advancement or promotion of mental health that you would like to see?
Okay. I would say positive mentors. Because a lot of like young teens, they don't have that person they can look up to and know that they're doing good. And a lot of them can determine what is positive and what is negative, because they're in that environment as well. So like I said, that toxic situation, if you're used to it, then you're just going to breed another toxic, whatever the situation may be. It could be a parent, it could be family, it could be cousins, nieces, brothers, it could be strangers, person you never met before. But it's still the same thing. It's your environment and the people that you surround yourself in. And it's like you said before I forgot what question it was. Some people don't have a choice. But at the same time, you do have a choice, because if you want to put yourself in a situation, even it may come with consequences behind it, but you have to sit back, reflect on it, and say, I want to make this action so that I can have a different future, so that I can better myself in every aspect, and having a positive mentor which guides you straightly through that process. Like as for you, for example, I would consider you a positive role model, and et cetera, for many other repasts, and it's most importantly my mother, because as you see how I'm talking,
of course,
came from her.
Gotta give your mama her props now. But I was probably looking at the side eye if you didn't.
Now, most definitely. As you see, just even raising me and everything that she instilled in me since I was young, not even just me, my brothers and sisters, I would say I have a different experience, because everything you taught me is like, as soon as I was young, I understood a lot more, and I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to be more. It was like, I consider myself a golden child, because I'm like, it's like, there's so many things you're able to do and to help others. So what is holding you back? Other people have, I'm going back to excuses, but there's no excuses. If you want to change that environment, there's going to come with negative and positive things with it. But you have to know that the positive things that come along with it will have way more benefits long term than what's in the situation you're in now. So I would say positive mentors. And there should be a lot more of those everywhere.
I agree with you. Well, Sherri, before you respond, I want to ask you, how do you feel hearing what your son just said to you as far as thanking you? How does that make you feel?
That's heartwarming.
I think enough.
That's heartwarming, and it's special. Yeah, it's special.
Hey, I mean,
he's got me speechless, and I'm the one. He's got me speechless. but that touched my soul, that touched my heart.
Hey, you raised me, so if anything, this is your doing.
You know what? And I'm glad that you're able to have this interaction right now, which is very organic and real. And I think that the more we can engage in these holistic experiences as family, and share our honest feeling, whether they are helpful or unhelpful, just our honest feeling, as you said, communication, I think a lot more barriers are going to be broken down, and then we can do a lot more work to move forward, whatever it is, the mission that, you know, you've decided to undertake. So I really appreciate you both. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just really needed to hear how you felt about what you said.
Thanks for that. But as he was talking, it's like something that two things we have to also, that's important for our mental wellness, is that we have to be accountable. Like, we as adults, we have to be accountable, as well as, you know, of course, the children have to be accountable for their actions, but we have to be accountable. You know what I'm saying? We can't, I have a fly too. we have to be accountable. We can't say, oh, it's just that generation, they're lost. We have to like reflect and say, well, why are you saying that? What can we do? You know what I'm saying? We can't just say, brush them off and say, oh, they're the lost generation, and just drop the mic, you know, and we have to be accountable. Like, what happened, you know? And also something that we have to do as a community for mental wellness is that we are imperfect and we are all learning. We all make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? We're not perfect, and we can learn and take those experiences and help others, and also help ourselves. We can't be like, you can't judge yourself, you know, so hard where you're just like, I'm stuck, I'm just this way. No, like, you can take that. It's all a choice. I told my son, actually all my kids, a long time ago, I knew someone growing up. They had a parent, a mother that was a drug abuser. She was a prostitute. You know, she lived that life. You know what I'm saying? She had two boys around the same age. One chose to be fought hard, chose and went through life and became a politician. The other one chose the other way. Same situation, same scenario. He became a drug dealer and doing all this stuff. Same situation, same, nothing different. But the bottom line is that it all boils down to a choice. You do have a choice. You just have to be victorious and not victims of your circumstance. If you take on that victim mentality, you won't go far. You know, you will never go far. You have to acknowledge it and work on it, you know, and never forget, just learn. And then your experience, you never know, can like change someone else's life, you know, not only yourself. So it's being victorious and not a victim of your circumstance. And you do have choices. We are free. We have free will. We do have a choice. You can look at something and say that this is, you know, black, or this is, you know, red. You know, you still have a choice of choosing those colors, even though we know that possibly the absolute is, you know, gray. You know what I'm saying? But we do have a choice. And that's something as a community we have to look at, and we have to deal with, and we have to be accountable. We have to be accountable.
Yes, I completely agree with that. Like, accountability, and accountability with empathy and understanding.
Yes. That's what I was trying to say, that without being so I was using the words judgmental, but yeah.
Well, let's just be honest. Our community, you know, to a degree, can be heavy on respectability. And I think because of some of the things that we've gone through and the ways that we've had to be, I get that, right? But in order to hold ourselves accountable, there has to be empathy and understanding laced within that process, because no one is perfect and everyone's circumstances are different. And I really believe like the way that we treat one another as we're trying to move through these different phases of our lives really does. Mentorship, you know, being able to communicate open freely to individuals that are skilled in these areas is gonna help us better connect to people that will help us to grow and vice versa. There's this phrase my mom used to say, each one teach one. And so
And I have one more thing to say, to chime on that.
I got one more after that.
After accountability, you know, my motto is to not be just lip service, like we not just talk about it in our communities, because we're good talkers, you know, and I'm saying this, you know, we're good talkers, but then at the end of the day, it's like, you have to follow by actions, or with me, it's null and void. Like, just like when we got here, we started doing without even talking about it. You just do, you know, and that's something, it's like, we talk about it, and then our communities, it's like we fall back, you hear crickets, you know, and it's like, okay, and then something happens with our youth, and then it's like, oh, rah, 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 and then you hear crickets. We must be actionary. We are actionary. It's in our DNA, you know, it's embedded in us, and we have to ignite it and do that for our future. They are our future. They are it, you know, and we have to speak life into them, and we have to help them, and we have to teach them from what we've gone through, and so that they can learn and be better versions of us.
I agree.
You know, and that should be one of the goals of our people.
I have one thing to add on to that. This is like for my generation. As a matter of fact, not even my generation. This is for the past generations. I'm talking about like way past even the 70s, just like the older generation. This is my message towards them. Stop being scared to express everything you went through, no matter how bad or how traumatic it was. Pass that information down to the generation so they can know what mistakes and things that you went through and incorporate that in their life, saying, okay, I know this exact situation. I don't want it to turn out this way. So I know the exact actions I must take to not end up in that same predicament. Because when you bottle that information, it's going to pass down, down, and down. And all the knowledge is getting diluted. And we have no information to know who we are or how many situations we've been through or even going to become, because you don't know when you experience it. That experience could either be way worse, or if you share that information to them, they could be more prepared for whatever is likely to come and likely to happen. So my message would be to them, share that information. That's just few communication. Like that won't help, that won't hurt. Like that little thing with so many things.
I'm so glad that you said that, and we'll end it on this note. With you saying that, Josiah, for the older generation to share their experience, whatever it is, I offer you another challenge. I want you to also ask.
Okay.
Sometimes people just want to be asked about their lives, right? I think it's great when you have folks that freely offer, but to know that someone is interested and genuinely curious about what you've gone through, and they have a desire to take that in, soak it up, and do something with it, I think that you'll get more of what it is that you're seeking. But you're right. Our elders have so much wisdom and experience and pain that we have to respect their process, right? Because they may be in spaces where there are certain things that they're going to be very forthcoming about. And then there might be certain experiences that are really heavy and traumatic that they might have trouble, being able to speak on. But it's a two-pronged thing. If sometimes you want, you got to go seek it, right? And I think that would definitely get us in the ball moving in the direction for us to continue to grow and improve. I want to say thank you both for offering your time for this interview. I hope that you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed listening to you share and offer such detailed and poignant perspectives on repat life, building community, and your perspectives on mental health. And for everyone that is watching, I want to thank you for tuning in to the Black Expat Experience. Again, I encourage you to keep taking risks, keep impacting your communities, and most importantly, make sure that you prioritize your mental health. It is through your support of liking and sharing and subscribing that we're able to continue to show the world that Black people live and thrive everywhere in the world, and that we can work together to break the stigma that mental illness has on our community and promote the importance of mental health. So please do that and support us and share whatever it is that you view. And with that, I want to say thank you to everyone. We're going to say
thank you for having us. Thank you, family.